The moment Amara Lewis spoke Italian to the elderly woman in the corner booth, she sealed her fate with Chicago's most dangerous man and triggered a chain of events that would either crown her a queen or bury her in secrets. Because that woman was Maria DeLuca, mother of the city's last untouchable dawn. What if one conversation could trap you in a world you never asked to enter? Have you ever impressed someone so much that it changed your entire life trajectory, for better or worse? Amara was just trying to survive, working double shifts, drowning in student debt, invisible to everyone. But what happens when invisibility becomes your most dangerous asset? Tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. It was a Thursday night, the kind where your feet scream and your back aches, and you still have 3 hours left on your shift. Amara wiped down table 7 for the third time, her nursing textbook hidden behind the register, waiting for a quiet moment that never came. The restaurant smelled like garlic and old wood. Red checkered tablecloths, candles and wine bottles. The owner's grandmother had opened it in 1962, and nothing had changed since. An elderly woman sat alone in the corner, staring at the menu with tears in her eyes. Amara approached carefully. Buonasera, signora. Posso aiutarla? Good evening, ma'am. Can I help you? The woman's head snapped up. Her eyes, sharp and gray, locked onto Amara's face. Tu parli italiano? You speak Italian? Si. My mother taught me. She lived in Naples for 5 years. The woman's hand trembled as she reached across the table, gripping Amara's wrist. Siediti. Sit with me. Please. Amara glanced at her manager. He nodded, confused but allowing it. For 20 minutes, they spoke. About Naples. About memory. About loss. The woman's laugh returned. Soft at first, then genuine. Amara didn't notice the man watching from the shadows. Dark suit. Darker eyes. His jaw tight as he studied every movement, every smile, every word. When Maria DeLuca took Amara's hand and whispered, "Se cum la figlia che non ho mai avuto," you're the daughter I never had, the entire restaurant went silent. The man rose from his chair, 6 feet of controlled power moving through the room like a predator. He stopped at their table. "Mama," he said quietly, "it's time to go." Maria smiled up at him. "Vincenzo. This girl, she speaks like home." His eyes met Amara's. Cold, calculating, hungry. He leaned down, his hand settling on the table beside hers, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Expensive, woodsy, dangerous. His lips barely moved. "From now on, you are mine." Amara's pulse quickened, not from fear, but from something far more dangerous. Curiosity about the darkness in his eyes. Drop a Italy if you speak another language that changed your life. Where are you watching from? 3 weeks after that night, Amara moved from a studio apartment with roaches to a penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan. But freedom doesn't come with marble floors, it dies there. Have you ever gotten everything you thought you wanted, only to realize it was a trap? Type careful what you wish for if you've been there. The penthouse had floor-to-ceiling windows, white leather furniture, a kitchen bigger than her old apartment. Amara stood in the living room wearing a dress that cost more than her semester tuition, feeling like an imposter in someone else's life. Vince appeared behind her, silent as smoke. His hands settled on her shoulders. Warm, possessive. You like it? It's overwhelming. You'll adjust. His breath touched her neck. I always get what I want, and I want you comfortable. He turned her around slowly. His fingers found the buttons of her silk blouse, the one he'd bought her yesterday. He undid them one by one, his eyes never leaving hers. "Say it in Italian," he whispered. "Cosa?" "What?" "Tell me you're mine." His mouth traced her collarbone. His hands slid down her sides, gripping her waist. "Sono tua," she breathed. "I am yours." He smiled against her skin. Good girl. But even as he carried her to the bedroom, even as his lips claimed every inch of her, Amara felt the walls closing in. The next morning, she met his mother. Maria sat in the sunroom, thinner than before. Her cough rattled through the space. "Amara, figlia mia. My daughter. Sit with me." They spent hours together, reading Italian poetry, cooking recipes from Maria's childhood, singing old songs that made the elderly woman's eyes shine. Vince watched from the doorway, his expression unreadable. That evening, Amara overheard him on the phone in his study. The image rehabilitation is working perfectly. My mother loves her. The press loves her. By next quarter, the family name will be clean enough for the expansion. Amara's blood turned cold. Image rehabilitation. She walked to the bedroom. Vince followed 10 minutes later, pulling her close, his hands sliding under her nightgown. I need you, he murmured, his fingers digging into her thighs. She let him take what he wanted. But as his breathing steadied beside her in the dark, Amara stared at the ceiling and realized she wasn't his lover. She was his project. What's worse, being poor and free or rich and controlled? Tell me in the comments while we see how deep this goes. Maria DeLuca was dying, and Amara was the only person who could make her smile through the pain. That made Amara both precious and expendable. If you've ever bonded with someone's parent more than the person themselves, hit that like button. This connection becomes everything. Every morning, Amara arrived at the main house by 9. Maria would be waiting in her chair by the window, looking out at the garden she could no longer walk through. Buongiorno, Mamma Maria. Figlia mia. You came. Always. They cooked together. Well, Amara cooked while Maria, directed from her wheelchair, hands too weak to knead dough, but voice strong enough to correct every technique. No, no. More pressure. Like this. You must feel the dough fight back. Amara laughed, flour on her cheeks. Yes, Mama. Maria's eyes softened. My Vincenzo. He was a sweet boy once. Before his father. She trailed off, coughing. Amara brought water, held the cup to Maria's lips. His father was a monster, Maria whispered. He beat that sweetness out of him. Turned my baby into what he is now. He can still change. Maria's laugh was bitter. No, child. Men like him don't change. They only get better at hiding. That afternoon, Maria gave Amara a necklace. An antique cameo on a gold chain. This was my grandmother's. From Napoli. I want you to have it. I can't. You can. You will. Maria's grip was surprisingly strong. Promise me something, Amara. Promise you'll try to save him, even if he doesn't want to be saved. Before Amara could respond, Vince entered. His eyes moved between them. Something dark flickered across his face. Mama needs to rest, he said quietly. He took Amara's hand, led her to his study. The moment the door closed, he kissed her. Hard, desperate. His hands pushed her against the desk, lifting her onto the polished wood. You're good to her, he breathed against her mouth. Too good. His fingers traced the necklace. She gave you this? Yes. She never gives anyone anything. His jaw clenched. What did she tell you? Nothing. Just stories. He studied her face, searching for lies. Then he kissed her again, rougher this time, like he was trying to erase whatever his mother had said. Later, when he left for a meeting, Amara returned to the study. On his desk sat a folder labeled Public Relations Strategy. Her name was on every page. That night, Amara found Maria's warning note tucked in her coat pocket. Be careful, Figlia mia. My son, he breaks beautiful things. Would you stay to honor a dying woman's wish, or leave to save yourself? Comment your choice. The moment Amara read those documents, she understood the truth. She wasn't chosen for love. She was cast for a role in Vince's redemption theater. Have you ever discovered you were being used? Drop a heartbreak emoji if this hits home. Amara's about to make a choice that changes everything. The folder contained everything. Media strategy documents, polling data, focus group responses about softening the DeLuca brand through humanizing relationships. There were photographs of her and Vince at charity events. Captions drafted by PR firms. Local waitress wins heart of reformed businessman. Reformed. The word made her sick. There were talking points about her background. Relatable. Authentic. Perfect contrast to previous socialite relationships. She'd been selected. Interviewed without knowing it. Hired for a job she never applied for. The nursing classes she'd abandoned. The friends she'd stopped calling. The mother she barely spoke to anymore because explaining this life felt impossible. All of it for a lie. Vince came home at midnight. Amara was waiting in the living room, the folder open on the coffee table. "What is this?" He froze. His expression shifted from surprise to calculation in half a second. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." He sat beside her, took her hands. His thumb traced circles on her palm, a gesture she'd once found comforting. "I chose you because you're perfect," he said softly. "Smart, beautiful, genuine. That's not strategy. That's truth. But this, business and personal, are different things." His eyes held hers. "Yes, having you by my side helps. But that doesn't mean I don't care about you." "Care?" She pulled her hands away. "You don't care about me. You care about what I represent." His jaw tightened. "You're being dramatic." "Am I?" He stood. "I've given you everything. A home. Security. My mother adores you. What more do you want?" "I want to be chosen, not cast." "You're being ungrateful." The word hung between them like a slap. He moved closer. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek. "Don't ruin this," he whispered. "Don't make me regret bringing you into my life." Then he kissed her. Slow, deliberate, his mouth silencing every question, every protest. His hand slid down her body, claiming possessing. "You're mine," he breathed against her neck. "Say it." She didn't, but she didn't fight either. Later, as he slept, Amara made a decision. She stopped asking questions and started watching. The next morning, she called her old nursing school advisor. "Professor Chun, it's Amara Lewis. I need to learn everything about dementia medications. It's for a patient." A pause. "What kind of patient?" "The kind who trusts me." "If you were Amara, would you plan revenge or escape?" "Tell me which one will we see her first move." The best weapon against a powerful man isn't a gun. It's making him believe you're too broken to fight back. Type underestimated if you've ever let someone think they'd won while you plotted their downfall. Amara's playing the long game now. Amara became perfect, smiled at his business dinners, laughed at jokes that weren't funny, wore the dresses he chose, said the right things to the right people. Every wife of every associate told her how lucky she was. She agreed. "Vince is wonderful. I'm very blessed." The words tasted like glass, but her compliance gave her access. Maria's birthday, 0604, unlocked Vince's laptop. Late nights, while he was gone, Amara photographed everything. Bank statements, offshore accounts, shell company registrations, names, dates, amounts. She bought a burner phone, created encrypted cloud storage, documented everything with the precision she'd learned in nursing school. During the day, she sat with Maria. "Tell me about the family business, Mama." Maria would talk about properties, about associates, about money moving through companies that didn't really exist. She didn't know she was confessing. One evening, at a fundraiser, Vince pulled Amara close as they posed for cameras. His hand rested on her lower back. Possessive. Public. "You're doing well," he whispered in her ear. "Keep smiling." His fingers pressed harder, a warning disguised as affection. "You belong to me. Don't forget that." She smiled wider for the cameras. That night, she met Detective Christine Morrison in a coffee shop 3 miles from the house. "I'm investigating financial crimes connected to the DeLuca organization," Morrison said. "If you have information." "I don't know anything." Amara kept her voice steady. Morrison slid a business card across the table. "If that changes." 3 days later, a young accountant came to fix Vince's laptop. Lorenzo Ricci, 27, nervous eyes, careful hands. He worked in the study while Amara brought coffee. Their eyes met. He knew something. She could see it. "You work for him?" she asked quietly. "I keep his books." Lorenzo's voice dropped. "I know what they say, and I wish I didn't." He glanced toward the door. "He's not a good man, Miss Lewis." "I know." Lorenzo studied her face. "Then why are you here?" "Same reason you are, probably." He doesn't give people choices. Something passed between them. Recognition. Alliance. As Lorenzo packed his equipment, he handed Amara a flash drive. "These are the offshore accounts. If anyone asks, you never saw me." His fingers grazed hers, a spark of dangerous possibility. That night, Amara plugged in the flash drive. Numbers. Millions of dollars. Crimes documented in spreadsheets. She copied everything. Then she texted Morrison. "I'm in." but I need guarantees. For me and for someone else. The response came immediately. Who else? The accountant. Lorenzo Ricci. He's trapped too. Is Amara about to make her biggest mistake or her smartest move? Predict what happens next. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But sometimes you need someone warm to help you cook it. If you believe sometimes you need an accomplice for justice, drop a fire emoji. This alliance is about to get complicated. The coffee shop is on the north side, far enough from Vince's world that Amara could breathe. Lorenzo sat across from her, hands wrapped around a cup he hadn't touched. He threatened my sister, Lorenzo said quietly. She's 16, has a scholarship to Northwestern. He said if I ever talked, if I ever left, she'd lose everything. The scholarship, her future, maybe more. Amara's chest tightened. That's how he keeps everyone. How does he keep you? She looked down. He doesn't. Not anymore. Lorenzo leaned forward. Then why are you still there? Because I'm building a case. And I need help. Over the next 2 weeks, they met 7 times. Always different locations. Always careful. Lorenzo knew the money. Where it moved. How it disappeared. Which accounts were real and which were ghosts. Amara knew the people. The conversations. The threats disguised as business discussions. Together, they built something solid. One night, they worked late in an empty office building. Lorenzo had accessed the server remotely, pulling encrypted files onto a clean laptop. This one, he said, pointing at the screen. This shell company? It doesn't exist, but $15 million moved through it last year. Amara leaned closer to see, her shoulder pressed against his. Neither of them moved away. How many more like this? She asked. At least 20. His voice was quiet. Maybe 30. She turned her head, found his face inches from hers. We can actually do this, she whispered. Yeah. His eyes dropped to her mouth. We can. The kiss happened before either of them decided to. Desperate. Forbidden. His hand at her hair, her fingers gripping his shirt. They broke apart, breathing hard. We can't, Lorenzo said. If he finds out, he'll kill us both. I know. But 2 nights later, it happened again. In his car. In the dark parking garage beneath a shopping center. His hands on her face. Her back against the door. Months of fear and tension releasing into something they both knew was dangerous. Amara. His forehead pressed against hers. This is crazy. I know. We should stop. I know. They didn't. But when her phone buzzed, Vince calling, reality crashed back. She pulled away, fixing her hair, her breathing. I have to go. Lorenzo caught her hand. Be careful. Always. She drove home in silence, tasting him on her lips, hating herself for wanting more. Vince was waiting in the penthouse. Where were you? Shopping. Lost track of time. He studied her face. Too long. Too carefully. Then he checked her phone. Her heart stopped. But she'd been smart. The burner phone was hidden. This phone showed exactly what it should. Shopping websites, text messages to Maria's nurse. Nothing suspicious. Okay. He handed it back. I was worried. That night, he pulled her close in bed, his arm heavy across her waist. I love you, he murmured into her hair. She stared at the darkness and said nothing. Would you be able to keep your cool if your would-be murderer started getting suspicious? Comment, nerves of steel, if you're impressed by her control so far. Maria DeLuca died on a Tuesday morning, holding Amara's hand. But her final words weren't comfort. They were a confession that changed everything. If you've ever received a deathbed confession, type truth hurts. Maria's last words give Amara the ultimate weapon. The hospice nurse called at 6 a.m. She's asking for you. You should come now. Amara arrived before Vince. Maria lay in the hospital bed they'd set up in her room. Thin, pale, but her eyes were clear. Fia mia. Her voice was barely a whisper. Amara took her hand. I'm here, Mama. I know what my son is. Each word cost her. I know what he's done to you. Mama. Let me finish. Maria's grip tightened. There's a safety deposit box. First National Bank. Downtown. Box 447. Key is in my jewelry box. Blue velvet. Bottom compartment. I don't understand. Documents. Proof. Everything his father did. Everything Vincenzo continued. Tears slid down Maria's cheeks. I couldn't stop them. But you can. Why me? Because you're strong enough. Smart enough. Maria's breathing rattled. My letter is in there too. For the police. For the courts. It gives you permission. Legal standing. Mama, I can't. Save him. Maria's eyes were fierce despite her weakness. Save my son by destroying what he built. It's the only way. Footsteps in the hallway. Vince's voice talking to the nurse. Promise me, Maria gasped. I promise. Maria smiled, released her hand. Brava ragazza. Good girl. Vince entered as his mother took her last breath. His breakdown was real, violent, gut-wrenching. He collapsed beside the bed, holding his mother's hand, sobbing into the sheets. Amara stood behind him, one hand on his shoulder, feeling nothing but the weight of her promise. The funeral was massive. Politicians, business leaders, people who pretended the DeLuca family was legitimate. Amara stood beside Vince in a black dress, accepting condolences, playing her part. That night, he fell apart in her arms. She was the only person who ever really loved me, he choked out between sobs. He pulled Amara onto the bed, desperate, clinging, his grief transforming into need. She let him, because that's what the role required. Afterward, as he finally slept, she slipped out. The jewelry box sat on Maria's dresser, untouched since her death. The blue velvet compartment held a small key, and a note in shaky handwriting. Finish what I couldn't. Save him by destroying what he built. Ti amo, figlia mia. The next morning, Amara visited First National Bank. Box 447 contained 3 things. Original documents proving money laundering dating back 30 years. Recorded conversations between Vince and his father discussing murders. And a notarized letter from Maria DeLuca, granting Amara Lewis full authority to act on her behalf in legal matters concerning the DeLuca family business. Amara photographed everything, made copies, stored them in 3 separate locations. Then she returned home. Vince was sitting in the living room, staring at nothing. Come here, he said quietly. She sat beside him. He pulled her close. Promise me you'll never leave. You're all I have now. She looked into his red-rimmed eyes. I promise. The lie tasted like freedom. Could you destroy someone who genuinely needs you? Tell me if Amara should show mercy or continue her plan. The grieving son doesn't suspect the woman comforting him is building his prison brick by brick. If you believe people reveal their secrets when they're vulnerable, hit subscribe. Vince is about to tell Amara everything. Grief made Vince weak. For 2 weeks after Maria's death, he barely left the penthouse. Barely slept. Barely spoke. But he talked to Amara. Late nights, when the medication and whiskey loosened his tongue, he confessed things he'd never said out loud. My first collection, he murmured one night, his head in her lap. I was 14. My father made me watch while his guys broke a man's hands. Said I needed to learn the business. Amara stroked his hair. That must have been terrible. It was necessary. He looked up at her. You understand that, right? Sometimes violence is necessary. I understand you do what you have to. The cameo necklace rested against her collarbone. She'd had Lorenzo modify it. A tiny recording device hidden in the clasp. Everything Vince said was captured. The shipment coming next week, he continued half asleep. 15 kilos. Coming through the port. Marco's handling it. If it goes smooth, we clear 2 million. That's good. Amara said softly, her heart racing. Yeah. He closed his eyes. Mama would have hated it. But she's gone now. Can't disappoint her anymore. Amara waited until he fell asleep. Then she went to the bathroom and transcribed everything into her encrypted phone. Sent it to Morrison. Drug shipment. Next Thursday. Port of Chicago. Contact Marco Rossi. Morrison's response. Got it. You're incredible. During the day, Amara met with funeral directors, handled Maria's estate paperwork, smiled through sympathy visits. At night, she gathered evidence. Business associates came to pay respects. Amara played hostess, offering drinks, accepting embraces. She watched, listened, remembered. One evening, Vince's lawyer arrived with papers. The engagement, he said, we should make it official. For tax purposes. Estate planning. Vince looked at Amara. What do you think? Every instinct screamed no. But she smiled. I think your mother would want us to be happy. 3 days later, Vince knelt in the living room with a ring that cost more than most people earn a year. Marry me. Make this official. Be my wife. My mother would have wanted this. Amara looked at the diamond, at his hopeful, desperate eyes, at the man who'd turned her into a possession. Yes. He pulled her into his arms, kissing her hard, relief and joy mixing with possession. That night, he made love to her with a tenderness that almost felt real. Almost. His fingers traced her face in the darkness. You're mine forever now. Forever, she echoed. The recording device captured every word. Lorenzo's text came at 2 a.m. Did you really just get engaged? It's strategy. Doesn't feel like strategy. She stared at the message. Trust me. But she wasn't sure she trusted herself anymore. The next morning, Vince was different. Lighter. He smiled, made breakfast, kissed her forehead like a real fiancé. We should celebrate. Dinner tonight. Somewhere nice. Okay. He left for a meeting. The moment the door closed, Amara called Morrison. I'm engaged. Jesus Christ. It gives me legal access. Bank accounts. Properties. Everything. Or it traps you completely. I know what I'm doing. Do you? Amara hung up. She looked at the ring. Heavy. Beautiful. Expensive. A golden leash. Is she making the biggest mistake or the smartest trap? Drop ring emoji or red flag emoji for your prediction. An engagement isn't just a promise. For Amara, it was access. Full, complete, undeniable access to everything Vince had hidden. Have you ever agreed to something not for what it was, but for what it gave you access to? Type strategic yes if you understand Amara's game. The wedding planning started immediately. Vince wanted big, public, a statement to everyone that he was legitimate now. Settled. Respectable. Amara met with planners, tasted cakes, chose flowers, and gained access to everything. Joint bank accounts, shared passwords, legal authority to sign documents on Vince's behalf. She photographed every statement, every property deed, every offshore account number. The engagement photos were scheduled for a Saturday. Expensive photographer, lakefront location. Vince held her close for the camera, his hand on her waist, his smile genuine. Look at me like you love me, he whispered. She did, because acting was survival now. The photographer captured them perfectly. The powerful businessman and his beautiful bride. A fairy tale in digital format. That night, Vince's hands were everywhere. Possessive, claiming, "You're going to be my wife," he breathed against her neck. Finally mine, completely. She closed her eyes and thought of Lorenzo. Speaking of whom, he'd been silent for 3 days. When they finally met in a parking garage at dawn, his face was hard. You're really doing this? It's not real. You're wearing his ring, sleeping in his bed, planning a wedding. Lorenzo's voice was harsh. Seems pretty real to me. I need the access. You need to be careful you don't forget this is fake. He stepped closer. Because I'm starting to think you're forgetting. That's not fair, isn't it? His eyes searched hers. When's the last time you weren't playing a role? Before she could answer, he kissed her. Rough, angry, desperate. She kissed him back with the same fury. They broke apart, both breathing hard. This is insane, Lorenzo said. I know. If he finds out, he won't. She touched his face. I'm doing this for both of us. Trust me. He caught her hand. The wedding's in 6 weeks. Yes. And after, he goes to prison. And we disappear. Promise. She couldn't. Not honestly. So she kissed him instead. The next day, Detective Morrison approached Amara at a bridal shop. She pretended to be another customer, browsing veils 3 racks over. Congratulations, Morrison said quietly. Don't. I'm serious. This access is incredible. Morrison held up a phone showing new evidence Amara had sent. We have enough to move forward. But I need everything in 30 days. The wedding's in 6 weeks. I know, but we can't wait that long. Too many variables. Too much risk. Morrison met her eyes in the mirror. Can you give me everything in 30 days? Amara looked at her reflection. Bride-to-be, future wife of a criminal, or avenging angel in white lace. Yes. Good. Because after 30 days, we execute the warrant. With or without you. That evening, Vince came home with champagne. To us, he toasted. To forever. Amara raised her glass. 30 days. She could do anything for 30 days. Even pretend forever existed. Is 30 days enough to bring down an empire? Comment how you do it if you were Amara. They say criminals always make one mistake. Vince's mistake was believing Amara loved him enough to ignore his crimes. If you've ever collected evidence against someone who trusted you, drop a doubled eye emoji. The walls are closing in on Vince. 27 days. Amara worked with military precision. Every document photographed. Every conversation recorded. Every offshore account traced. Lorenzo provided the financial proof. Amara provided the human evidence. Morrison coordinated with federal prosecutors. The case built itself. But Vince was getting paranoid. Federal agents had raided 3 of his associates' businesses in 2 weeks. Someone was talking. He suspected Marco first. Had him followed. Questioned. Threatened. Marco disappeared the next day. Nobody asked where. One night, Vince came home with blood on his sleeve. Amara was in the kitchen. She saw it. Said nothing. He caught her staring. Business, he said flatly. Okay. He grabbed her wrist. Not gently. You believe me? Of course. His eyes searched hers for doubt. For fear. She gave him trust instead. Or the appearance of it. He pulled her close. Kissed her hard. His hands rough, gripped tight enough to bruise. You'd never betray me, he whispered against her mouth. Right? Never. That night, his intensity frightened her. The way he held her down. The way his fingers dug into her hips. The desperation in his movements. Like he was trying to claim her completely. To own every part of her before something took her away. Afterward, she lay awake, counting bruises in the darkness. 19 days. Lorenzo sent an urgent text. He's auditing the books. Found discrepancies. He's coming for me. Amara's blood went cold. She found Vince in his study at midnight, papers spread across his desk. What are you doing up? He asked. Couldn't sleep. She moved behind him, hands on his shoulders. What's wrong? Someone's been in my accounts. Moving money. Copying files. His jaw clenched. I think it's Lorenzo. The accountant? He seems so quiet. Quiet people are the most dangerous. Vince turned to look at her. You haven't noticed anything strange about him? Her heart hammered. No. Should I have? He studied her face. Too long. Then he relaxed slightly. No, you wouldn't notice. You're too trusting. Is that bad? It's one reason I love you. He pulled her onto his lap. You see the good in people, even when there isn't any. The next morning, Lorenzo called. He knows. I'm leaving town. Wait. There's nothing to wait for. He's going to kill me. Lorenzo's voice cracked. I can't protect my sister from prison. Or from a grave. Morrison can protect you both. Can she? Really? A pause. I am sorry, Emare. But I'm out. The line went dead. Amara stared at her phone. 16 days left. And she just lost her most important ally. That night, Vince told her Lorenzo had quit. Disappeared without notice. Good riddance, he said. Something was off about him. Amara nodded agreement. And prayed Lorenzo was already far away. Would you risk your life wearing a wire to your own wedding? Tell me if Amara is about to cross the line from brave to reckless. 14 days until the federal raid. But Vince moved up the wedding to next Saturday. Now Amara had 7 days to finish what she started or become his wife for real. Have you ever run out of time on something crucial? Type clock's ticking if you feel Amara's panic right now. Why the rush? Amara asked when Vince announced the change. He kissed her forehead. Because I'm tired of waiting. And because he hesitated. I want you locked down before anything else goes wrong. Locked down, not married. Locked down. The words sent ice through her veins. Morrison called an emergency meeting. We move now, the detective said. This Friday. Before the wedding. That's 5 days. I know. Can you get me inside his office? I need to plant surveillance. Amara thought fast. Thursday night. He has dinner with the mayor. He'll be gone 3 hours minimum. Perfect. And you? I'll make sure the security codes are disabled for exactly 15 minutes. 8 p.m. Morrison gripped her shoulder. This is it. After Friday, you're done. We'll have enough to arrest him and dismantle everything. That night, Vince pulled Amara into the bedroom early. His hands moved across her skin with unusual gentleness, almost reverent. 5 more days, he whispered. Then you're stuck with me forever. She traced his jaw. That doesn't sound so bad. Lie after lie after lie. He made her say things. Promises. Declarations. Tell me you'll never leave. I'll never leave. Tell me I'm the only one. You're the only one. Each word felt like betrayal. Not of him, of herself. Wednesday morning, the delivery arrived. Wedding dress alterations. Amara tried it on alone in the bedroom. White silk, fitted bodice, train that seemed to go on forever. She looked like a bride. Felt like a liar. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. It's Lorenzo. I'm sorry I ran. My sister's safe now. Hidden. If you need backup for Friday, I'm here. Relief flooded through her. Where are you? Close enough. Morrison gave me a burner. I've been feeding her information remotely. Vince thinks you disappeared. Good. Let him think that. Meanwhile, I've been tracing his overseas accounts. The ones even he doesn't know his father set up. A pause. Amara, there's something else. Something bad. What? There's a contract. On someone named Christine Morrison. 50,000. Goes active this Friday. Amara's stomach dropped. He knows about her. Not her specifically, but he knows there's a detective asking questions. He's covering his bases. I need to warn her. Already did. She's doubling her security. But Amara, Lorenzo's voice dropped. If he's willing to eliminate a cop, what do you think he'll do to you if he finds out? She looked at herself in the mirror. Bride in white. Target in silk. I guess we'll find out Friday. Would you warn your enemy's target, even if it risked everything? Common code of honor, if you respect Amara's choice. The night before everything changes, Vince held Amara like he'd never let go. Because somewhere deep down, he knew he was about to lose her. If someone held you tight because they sensed you were slipping away, drop a heartbreak emoji. This might be the last peaceful moment they have. Thursday afternoon, Vince came home with flowers. Roses. 24 of them. For my beautiful bride, he said, pulling her close. They had dinner at the penthouse. Steak. Wine. Candlelight. He was trying. Really trying. I know I'm not easy, he said over dessert. I know my business complicates things. But after tomorrow, it's different. Clean. Legitimate. Ow! I'm selling the overseas operations. Shutting down the import channels. Going straight. He took her hand. For you. Because you deserve better than what I've been. For a moment, one brief, painful moment, Amara wondered what would happen if she told him the truth. If she said, I know everything. I've documented everything. But maybe there's still time to really change. But then she remembered Marco's blood on his sleeve. Remembered the bruises on her hips. Remembered the folder labeled Public Relations Strategy. People like Vince didn't change. They just got better at hiding. That means everything, she said instead. He smiled, genuine relief on his face. At 7:30, he left for dinner with the mayor. I'll be back by 11. Don't wait up. The moment his car left the garage, Amara moved. She disabled the security system using the master code she'd memorized weeks ago. Unlocked the service entrance. Left the office door open. Morrison and her tech team arrived at exactly 8 p.m. 15 minutes, Amara reminded them. They worked fast. Cameras in the bookshelves. Audio devices in the desk. Tracking software on his computer. This is incredible access, Morrison whispered. We'll have everything by tomorrow afternoon. What time's the arrest? 6 p.m. Federal agents. Full tactical team. He won't see it coming. Amara nodded. Tomorrow. This nightmare ended tomorrow. At 8:14, the team left. Amara reset the security. Locked the office. Erased every trace. Then she poured herself wine and waited. Vince came home at 10:40. Earlier than expected. He found her on the couch, reading. Kissed the top of her head. Miss me? Always. He sat beside her, pulling her legs across his lap. Tomorrow's the rehearsal dinner. You ready? Yes. Nervous? A little. He smiled. Me too. Isn't that crazy? I've faced down armed men without blinking. But marrying you? Terrifies me. Why? Because you're the first real thing I've had in years. The first person who sees me as more than the business. His thumb traced circles on her ankle. I don't want to mess this up. Too late, she thought. You already did. But she smiled. You won't. That night, he held her differently. Softer, like she was precious instead of possessed. He whispered things in the darkness. Plans. Dreams. A future that would never exist. We'll have kids. 2, maybe 3. Raise them right. Give them everything we didn't have. Amara stared at the ceiling, counting down hours. 18 hours until the arrest. 18 hours until she was free. 18 hours until Vince's world collapsed. She should have felt victorious. Instead, she felt hollow. Is it possible to mourn someone who's still alive? Tell me if Amara's starting to feel something she shouldn't. Friday arrived with sunshine and betrayal. While Vince's guests toasted the happy couple, federal agents were getting into position 3 blocks away. Have you ever smiled through something while knowing it was about to explode? Type calm before the storm. This dinner is Amara's final performance. The rehearsal dinner was at an upscale restaurant Vince's family had owned for 40 years. Private room. 60 guests. Champagne flowing like water. Amara wore emerald green, Vince's favorite color on her. His hand never left her back as they moved through the room. Introducing her. Showing her off. My bride, he kept saying. Pride in his voice. His associates congratulated him. Their wives hugged Amara, welcoming her to the family. If they only knew. At 6 o'clock, Amara's phone buzzed. Morrison. Teams in position. 1 hour. Her hand shook slightly as she put the phone away. Vince noticed. You okay? Just overwhelmed. This is all so much. He kissed her temple. I know, but you're doing perfect. His uncle gave a toast. Long rambling. Full of stories about Vince as a boy. He was always destined for greatness, the uncle finished. And now he's found his queen. Everyone raised their glasses. Amara drank deep. At 6:30, Vince pulled her aside. I need to step out. Quick business call. 10 minutes tops. Now. It's important. About tomorrow's shipment. He cupped her face. Stay here. Smile. I'll be right back. He disappeared into the hallway. Amara's heart raced. The shipment. He was coordinating the drug delivery right now. She followed quietly, staying in the shadows. Vince stood in the alley behind the restaurant. Phone to his ear. Yeah, 6 containers. Port entrance 3. Marco's guy Will. He stopped. What do you mean Marco's gone? Gone where? A pause. Find him. I don't care how. Find him and bring him to me. Another pause. Longer this time. I said find him. Vince's voice was ice. And if you can't find him, find he talked to. Someone's feeding information to the feds. I want names. Amara's blood froze. She backed away slowly, carefully, back into the restaurant. At 6:45, Morrison texted. Something's wrong. He's not at the penthouse. Where is he? Rehearsal dinner. Different location. Address. Now. Amara sent it. We're moving early. Get out. Now. But before Amara could move, Vince returned. His face was different. Closed off. Suspicious. He took her hand. Gripped it tight. Let's get some air, he said quietly. Not a suggestion. A command. He led her outside. Away from the guests. Into the parking area where no one could see. I need to ask you something, he said. Voice calm. Too calm. And I need you to be honest. Okay. Have you noticed anyone following us? Anyone asking questions? Anything unusual at all? No. What? His eyes bored into hers. Because something's off. People are disappearing. Files are being accessed. And it all started around the time you came into my world. Her throat went dry. What are you saying? I'm saying, he stepped closer, that my accountant vanished. My mother gave you her most valuable jewelry. You have access to everything I own. And now the feds are circling. You think I don't know what to think. His hand came up, gripping her chin. Not gently, but I want to find out. Sirens in the distance. Getting closer. Vince heard them too. His face went hard. What did you do? Nothing. I swear. What did you do? The sirens were louder now. Lights flashing in the distance. Vince grabbed her arm. Started pulling her toward his car. We're leaving. Now. Is this the moment everything falls apart? Or the moment Amar's plan works? Drop your prediction now before the next chapter. They say criminals always run, but sometimes the prey runs faster than the predator ever expected. If you've ever had to choose between your safety and someone else's freedom, type survival mode. Amara's about to make her choice. Federal vehicles blocked every exit. Agents poured out, weapons drawn, vests marked FBI and DEA. Vincenzo De Luca. Hands up. Now. Vince Froze. His grip on Amara's arm tightened painfully. You did this, he whispered. You actually did this. Let me go. No. He pulled her against him, arm around her throat. No. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. Vince, don't. Shut up. Spit flew from his lips. You lying, scheming. Morrison stepped forward, weapon aimed. Let her go, De Luca. Or what? You'll shoot me in front of witnesses. He laughed. Bitter. Broken. She's the witness, isn't she? My sweet, innocent bride. She's the reason we have everything, Morrison said calmly. 18 months of evidence. Every account. Every transaction. Every crime. She documented it all. Vince's arm tightened. Amara gasped for air. 18 months. His voice cracked. We've only been together 8. She started gathering evidence the day she met your mother. Morrison continued. Maria knew what you were. She gave Amara everything she needed to take you down. My mother. The arm loosened slightly. My mother wouldn't. Your mother loved you enough to try to save you, even if that meant destroying what you become. Vince's breathing changed. Ragged. Desperate. Amara felt his tears hit her shoulder. You never loved me, he whispered against her ear. No, she admitted. I never did. His arm dropped. Agents swarmed forward, pulling him away, forcing him to his knees. As they cuffed him, Vince looked up at Amara. Not with hate, with devastation. I would have given you everything, he said. You tried to own me, she replied. That's not the same thing. They dragged him away. Morrison approached Amara carefully. You okay? I don't know. You did it. It's over. But it didn't feel over. Inside the restaurant, guests were being questioned. Associates were being arrested. The entire organization was collapsing like a house of cards. Amara watched it all from Morrison's car, wrapped in a shock blanket despite the warm evening. Lorenzo appeared suddenly, pulling her into a fierce embrace. You're alive. Thank God you're alive. She held on to him. Solid. Real. Safe. His sister, she asked. Safe. In protective custody with mine. He pulled back, studying her face. And you? Are you really okay? Ask me tomorrow. They stayed until midnight, giving statements, signing documents, confirming evidence. Vince was processed, booked, held without bail. Federal charges, racketeering, money laundering, drug trafficking, conspiracy to commit violence. Minimum sentence, 25 years. More likely, life. As Amara finally left the station, Morrison walked her out. Witness protection is available if you want it. I want my life back. That's going to take time. His associates are going to prison too. You said you had them all. We do. But there are always loose ends. Amara looked at the city skyline. Chicago. Her home. Her prison. Her battlefield. I'm not running anymore, she said. I spent 8 months running towards something. I'm done running from anything. Morrison smiled slightly. You're tougher than you look. I had to be. Justice served. But what cost? Comment whether Amara won or lost everything. The final chapter reveals what happens next. 6 months after Vince's arrest, Amara visited him in prison. Not for him, for the promise she made to a dying woman. Have you ever kept a promise that hurt you to fulfill? Type promises matter if you understand why Amara came back. The visiting room smelled like industrial cleaner and despair. Vince looked smaller, thinner. The expensive suits replaced by prison orange. He didn't smile when he saw her, just stared. Amara sat across from him, separated by bulletproof glass. Why are you here? His voice was flat through the phone. To tell you something your mother wanted you to know. Don't talk about my mother. She loved you. Every single day, even when she hated what you'd become. Amara leaned forward. She gave me those documents because she believed destroying your empire was the only way to save your soul. By sending me to prison, by stopping you from becoming your father. Amara's voice was steady. She said you were a sweet boy once, She wanted to know if that boy was still in there somewhere. Vince looked away, jaw tight. Is he? Amara pressed. Silence. Then, quietly, I don't know. Your mother thought prison might give you time to find out. She set this up. Not a question. A realization. The necklace. The safety deposit box. All of it. She gave me permission to act. I chose to follow through. Vince looked at her again. Do you hate me? No. You should. I should feel a lot of things. Amara stood. But what I actually feel is sad. Sad that you never understood the difference between owning someone and caring for them. Amara, your mother believed you could change. I'm not sure I do, but I kept my promise to her. I came. I told you. She picked up her bag. What you do with that information is up to you. Wait. His hand pressed against the glass. Will you come back? No. Why not? Because I finally learned something your mother tried to teach me from the beginning. You can't save people who don't want to be saved. You can only save yourself. She walked away without looking back. Outside, Lorenzo was waiting by his car. How'd it go? Exactly how it needed to. He took her hand. Where to? Home. My actual home. The apartment I just signed a lease for. She smiled. Small but real. And then class. I re-enrolled in nursing school. Yeah. Turns out I'm pretty good at saving people. I should probably do it legally from now on. Lorenzo laughed. Pulled her close. I got into grad school. Business ethics, if you can believe that. Perfect. The world needs ethical accountants. They stood there, in the parking area of a federal prison. Two people who'd survived something most people couldn't imagine. Think we'll be okay? Lorenzo asked. Amara looked up at him. At this man who'd risked everything to help her. Who'd stayed when he could have run. Yeah, she said. I think we will. Because they'd learned the hardest lesson. Freedom isn't given. It's taken. And sometimes, the only way to save yourself is to first destroy the cage you didn't know you were in. 3 years later, Amara graduated nursing school. Top of her class. Lorenzo finished his master's degree. They moved to Portland. Started fresh. Built something real. Vince remained in prison. No appeals granted. No early release. But according to his counselor, he'd started therapy. Started talking about his father. About his choices. Maybe Maria's plan was working after all. Maybe some people could change. But Amara would never know for sure. Because some chapters close forever. And that's exactly how it should be. Thanks for following Amara's path from waitress to warrior. Drop a crown emoji if you believe she earned her freedom. This story proves that sometimes the best revenge is simply reclaiming your life. What did you think of the ending? Comment below. And if you want more stories like this, let me know what you'd like to see next.